Today's decision to cancel the Energy East pipeline is a direct result of 2 years of political interference by the Liberal Party.
Yes.
Failure is the only word that comes to mind.
TransCanada made a business decision based on market conditions. When they first proposed the Energy East pipeline, oil was up around $90 a barrel.
It is dead, and now the blame game begins. Did the $15.7 billion Energy East pipeline get canceled because of the government, death by politics, or was it really just about the price of oil? Whatever the reason, people at both ends of this proposed pipeline that would go from Alberta to New Brunswick are bitterly disappointed. But who will pay the price for this? To find out, we're now joined by Frank McKenna, the former Premier of New Brunswick and, of course, the former Canadian Ambassador to the United States. Great to have you back on the program, Mr. McKenna. Who is responsible for the death of this pipeline?
We've had a lot of debates about moving oil in the last 10 years. Under the Conservative government, not a molecule of oil has moved, and to date, under the Liberal government, not a molecule of oil has moved. So we can put a pox on everybody's house politically if we want to. As Canadians, we're deeply disappointed because we see this as a huge win for Donald Trump and the United States of America. They get continued access to Canadian gas and oil for decades to come at deeply discounted prices. Big win for them, big transfer of wealth to the United States of America.
Do you wish, and I know the politics of this is tricky, but do you wish that the federal government had put their shoulders into this? Because you know the politics is, in Quebec, you had the mayor of Montreal, Denis Coderre, saying this was a great victory. He was loving this. Justin Trudeau's got his own politics just getting pipelines through on the West Coast. Some will say, look, there was no refinery out in New Brunswick anyway. But do you wish the federal government had put their shoulder into this and maybe pushed this harder?
Well, to start with, in the case of Denis Coderre, if any of his projects, whether it's the rail line or Champlain Bridge or whatever, had to go through this process, they'd never be built. So he'd be smart to keep his mouth shut on this file. I wish the government of Canada could have put their shoulder to the wheel on this. The problem is the process. If you were to intervene early on and say that you want a certain project to win, you would immediately be challenged in court. We've created such a process protected by the judicial system that it's almost impossible for the political leadership to exercise their influence as well until the very end of the process. And guess what, Evan? For those people who are opposing all of these projects, the process is just a tool to stop it or obstruct it. At the end of the day, there's no social peace that will ever be negotiated with some opponents of projects, and we're wasting our time in trying to get there.
Can we build pipelines in this country? Can we build big projects because of what you're saying?
I would say it's almost impossible. And remember the consequences of that is that we do not have an outlet for our oil, as we don't for our gas. We end up getting deeply discounted pricing from the United States of America, massive transfer of wealth, as much as $30 billion a year to the south of us, something they don't need. Meanwhile, our Canadian refiners bring in about 700,000 barrels of oil a day from some of the most despotic regimes on the planet. Not right.
Does this kick up divisions, resentments, East versus West, maybe versus East again as well? Does that start being exacerbated because of this kind of thing?
Now, the answer is categorically yes, but it's ever been thus. Pipeline politics has always been intense in this country, and in fact has led to change of governments in the past, so it shouldn't be a surprise. But yes, right now, New Brunswick and the Maritimes are royally steamed at losing out of being part of the national dream and up with all of those jobs and opportunity. Western Canada, Alberta and Saskatchewan are furious because they've lost an outlet for their resources. Those resources which help fuel wealth creation in the rest of Canada. They have to accept, or they will accept, less takeaway capacity and lower prices for their commodities. So they would have every reason to be extraordinarily angry, as would we. In that sense, I think it does create divisions in the country.
You said this is a big win for Donald Trump. You're the former ambassador to the United States. Round 4 of Canada, U.S., Mexico, NAFTA negotiations kick off on Wednesday in Washington. Trump keeps threatening to pull out. You're watching this closely. What are you looking for? What's the danger points in this negotiation for you?
What worries me, to cut to the chase, is the drama that will take place as we go through this. president by inclination tends to dramatic moments. There will be times when that could result in the negotiations breaking down, or even Canadians having to walk away from the table. These create moments of huge uncertainty for business, and we're already seeing a reduction in capital expenditures in Canada because of the uncertainty in the business climate. And as we get into more dramatic moments, I think Canada has to brace for more volatility and more shocks to our economy. And at the end of the day, if you have an unpredictable president who decides that he wants to make Canada's trophy, we could end up having a very hard time getting a deal over the line.
Last question. You were the ambassador under George W. Bush. I mean, this is Donald Trump, right? This is a presidential mood ring here. You just don't know what he's going to do from day to day. Do you wish you were the ambassador now, or are you wiping your brow saying, thank goodness I'm not the ambassador right now?
Look, it's like the World Series. Every baseball player wants to play in the World Series, and every former ambassador would want to play when the stakes are at their highest. So I'd absolutely love to be there now. But, you know, I didn't miss out on all the drama. I was there right after we made the decision not to join the United States in Iraq. And so we had a pretty high level of tension. We're also in softwood lumber wars and a few other major issues. So I caught my share of tension and drama and stimulation. But this would be a great opportunity. And I have to say, I think Canada and our staff in Washington, led by our ambassador, are playing it extraordinarily well. Very, very professional.
All right. Well, that would have been interesting to see, McKenna and Trump. But great to have you on the program today. Thanks.
Okay, Evan. All right. Good to do it.